Hello, BB Gangsters. This is Calvin, also known as Romer, and this is the Undertale / Deltarune newsletter for fall 2025. And look at this beautiful, beautiful artwork here. It's actually gorgeous. It's a really gorgeous piece of artwork. And honestly, like, don't expect anything less when it comes to this stuff as well. We're going to be reading through this newsletter as we usually do. And I'm actually very excited. I'm very excited because this is the first newsletter we've read post Deltarune chapter 3 and 4, right? It's been 10 years since the Undertale release. I didn't play it 10 years ago. Therefore, it's the Undertale 10th anniversary event. That's right. Undertale 10th anniversary. Let's have a stream where we play through Undertale just like we played through Deltarune Chapter 1. Okay. Look at the calendar and realize that anniversary is on a weekday. Why don't we do this like weekend after the anniversary instead? The event will run across 2 days at 4 p.m. PT on September 20th and 21st. And you can watch it here. Okay, so there's a link to that there in your newsletters. That's right, when we tried playing through everything, it took over 8 hours, so we have to split it up. We'll have to play half of the game in one day and half of it in the next day. That's fair enough. That sure is a long time to talk. Is anyone going to enjoy watching this? They will. They so will. People love this stuff. That's pretty cool, though. 10 years of Undertale and Deltarune, basically, but Undertale, 10 years of Undertale. I heard about Undertale when it released, of course, but like I never got around to actually playing it until I played it with you guys. And it's been one of the best joys I've had in terms of like... in terms of stories that I've gotten to play on the channel and stuff that has like kept going, like even since I played it, like, I think at this point it's almost 3 years ago, it's still probably one of the games that people always talk about in terms of the playthrough that got them into the channel as well in some ways, which is always very cool. But that's awesome. That's really awesome. A game with such a big legacy. Chapter 3 and 4 came out? That's right. The last time Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 came out, Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 came out, I went to look back at these chapters and discuss my thoughts. Okay, and there's like a little news dog here. Very cool. Okay, looking back in chapter 3 and 4. But I don't have time to do that right now. The anniversary's coming up. There's no time to discuss it now. Honestly, fair. There's a lot of stuff happening, and, sometimes giving thoughts retroactively can be very tough. Chapter 5's progress update, September 2025. I love the kind of like floral shirt now. Instead, let's talk about Chapter 5. I'm so ready for this. Some of you might be wondering what kind of chapter it is. Hiding again? Well, right now is not no reason to tell you that. Both of us like surprises, right? Yes, 100%. I do not want to know what's going to happen in it, what the story is. If I think of everything in the chapter, there is very little I would like to share. That being said, as an act of goodwill, I'd like to spoil one optional Castletown scene. The scene assumes you've seen the special room in Chapter 4. I probably won't click on it, just because I want to like avoid whatever it is. It might be just a joke. Next time I can show more from Castletown. But yeah, it's still cool that you get to see this if you want. It's like a spoiler scene, right? Which means they have like worked on it quite a bit. Oh my god. Detailed progress info. This is the current state of progress on September 8, 2025. No problem. Let's check it out. So in terms of areas, the early parts of Chapter 5 are complete, but need polish in optional areas. Maybe the last 40% or so of the game is in rough first pass state, and the last 10% is in the prototyping state. Probably around 85% of cutscenes have been crafted up to the first draft state. However, of those, at least 20% requires much more polish. That's fine. At least it showcases that there is like work being done on it, and as we know, there's work being done on it. But what we're learning here is that like the story is completely, done. The idea of like what's going to be in those scenes is done. And it can change over time, like there can be decisions to change things, but like it sounds like they're in the rough past first state, and like only 20% will kind of need polish for the cutscenes, which means that the story is like nearly at least set in stone, right? For sure. There's a tree here as well. Enemies. Regular enemies are mostly done. One programmer is already working on the regular enemy bullet patterns for Chapter 6. The direction of the boss battles have been decided, and many boss attacks have already been completed. Very cool as well. This is something that like is a big deal in Deltarune and Undertale. How are the bosses going to attack? What's the newest type of thing they're going to do? We saw that like, in Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4, like all the different types of movesets that those enemies have. It's so cool. And they get more unique every single time. Once the attacks are finished, the next goal is to arrange the attacks and make adjustments to them if necessary to fit with the atmosphere of the battle. That makes sense. Like, you could have an enemy that does like a lot of like, I don't know, that shoots streamers at you or something like that. But you want to make sure like it still fits like the atmosphere of like maybe like a party scene or like a scary birthday party or something like that. There's a piece of trash. Overall, Chapter 3 and 4, there are some creative hurdles which made developing parts of the game difficult. How to board the chapters, how to do the boards of Chapter 3, how to design the events in Noel's house, beautiful events. Once we got past those hurdles and expanded the team, everything went much more smoothly. We know about this as well. They expanded their team to the point that now they have producers and people like keeping them in check basically as well. And like not like in a bad way. I think like, you know, there was some worry I saw like when some people like online were talking about this, but I think most people understood that it's like having someone there to be like, guys, come on, you know, not in a bad way. It's not like, hey, hurry it up, but it's more just like, guys, like this is perfect what you have here. You need to work on this as well. And this is stuff, you know, to keep people on the right track. Cause I think that if you didn't have that, there is a possibility that, you know, you could have a game that goes on for too long and eventually, like, you know, it gets overcrowded in terms of its like artistry and development and stuff that maybe would be left for later chapters is all in one chapter, and then it gets overdeveloped and it's like it's too overstimulating as well. But like I think it's good to have like a full team as well. Chapter 5 was not without its hurdles, but we already passed all those obvious ones. So there's a little to get in our way now. We just need to keep making the game. And that's good as well. Like, it's like learning from the mistakes of chapter 3 and 4. Not mistakes, but like hurdles. And we see that like in like stuff like Yakuza games. It's like, yeah, this was really hard to develop Hawaii. It was really hard to develop Sultan Bori. But now that we have it developed, we just need to like add some more stuff to it and make the atmosphere better and like place different things in it. So it becomes more in tune with the atmosphere of the place as well. Love the artwork always. So the rough timeline will look like this. Making a game, we are here. Localization, making a game, porting a game, finish, testing and bug fixing, release. So like again, from this perspective, it looks like it's very soon. And it is going to be like, you know, sooner than we think. But like, this is a process. This is a big process. And we know the localization aspect, that took forever for chapter 3 and 4. That was a thing that was in every single update. So that's going to take a while. The idea of making sure the game is on every single system is also a big deal. But yeah, all those things are like very big deal. And then of course the idea of testing bugs fixing is also a big deal too. Currently we have one main deadline and want to begin the translation by the end of 2025. After that point, gameplay changes will be accepting, but large scale text will be acceptable. Gameplay changes will be acceptable, but large scale text and story changes will be heavily frowned upon. That's, yeah, there it is. The idea that once you get to that point, it's like, okay. So I was saying like maybe like because they have like 85% of the cutscenes are done, maybe they're not going to be doing that, but they're saying like once the translation is done, that means, which that makes more sense actually as well. It's not just that the cutscenes are done, it's that like once the translation is done, that's a payment that they did. That's a outsourcing that they did in some cases. That's like a whole effort. And if they want to make new different story aspects, what they're going to have to do is send it out for translation again and again and again. You know what I mean? They have to do that over and over again. And it costs more money. That's not a surprise, right? From last time's update, you guys have access to exactly how long each separate development took. Yeah, the translation took a long time. Anyway, we don't have any external factors surrounding the release date this time. We will release when it's done, and we'll continue to update you guys on the progress of its completion. That's no problem whatsoever. Toby Fox acting in Homestuck. What's Homestuck? Let's tell me about Homestuck. If you haven't heard Homestuck, it's a webtoon comic based on the launch of that basically launched my career back in 2010. I was a high school student with no aspirations for music composing at all. That was until I discovered this web comic, which I really liked. You see, the comic animated sequence had music created by a team of very talented musicians. Homestuck's music team. I wanted nothing more than to be part of my beloved comic, just like them. So one day, when a call was put up for additional musicians, I instantly took the opportunity to become a composer. I made some bad music and sent it over, and the author of the comic added me to the group. Okay, very cool. I never heard of Homestuck, or maybe I have. Well, I didn't want to waste the opportunity of being added, so I tried really hard to make as much music as I could, combining as many motifs as I could from the other musicians. It was an experience which forged me into the composer I am today. Additionally, thanks to my association with the comic, I gained a following on social media, which really helped me when I made my Kickstarter for the game, Undertale. Okay, so it kind of kickstarted Undertale. You know, the thing that enabled me to make the game? I even initially reached out to Temmie specifically because of Homestuck fan art she did on Tumblr. So I really owe a lot to Homestuck. It made me better at music, allowed me to make my game, connected me with many important friendships, and taught me a lesson on how to deal with the fandom and importance and value your fans. In my mind, it's basically a debt that I might never be able to repay. Therefore, when I asked if I could help out in the new Homestuck animation, I said I would give it a shot. Surprisingly, the request was not for music, but for voice acting. Still, I feel like I should help out. Okay. Waiting at the voice acting studio was another surprise. A few minutes into the recording with the voice director, I noticed, hey, isn't it this guy's resting voice, Daggett from Angry Beavers? It turns out the voice director was the voice of Invader Zim, Richard David Horvitz. The recording session took a few hours, but it was so fun. That's pretty cool. But it felt like it ended up pretty much immediately, but I'm not really a pro, so I was nervous about the result. But Invader Zim told me that I did a great job, so I just have to trust him. Well, I mean, he's a professional. Anyway, that was my experience helping out. Now I'd like to show you the trailer. I play a role of John Egbert. We won't be watching the trailer. We don't usually watch the trailers of the videos and stuff. You can check out the newsletter yourself and check out the trailer. But first, a warning for more sensitive members of any audience. Homestuck has a lot of dirty language, and they may say some pretty profane things. If you're a kid or would rather not hear those kinds of words, don't watch. I might use it too sensitive. But yeah, I don't really watch, like, we usually watch, like, maybe, like, Undertale and Deltarune stuff sometimes. But yeah, I'm pretty okay with kind of moving on after that as well. But yeah, it's cool that he has something that, like, he's giving back to, I guess. I never heard of it. I just never heard of Homestuck, and maybe I should have as an Undertale and Deltarune fan. But I'm not as big into the community as you guys might be. So it's just something I've never really, like, heard of. Off music. Love the illustration here. Fangamer developed an alternate version of Off, available for Nintendo Switch and Steam. It's a legendary RPG Maker game. The characters were inspirations for the designs of Sands of Papyrus. ACC, the musician for the original version, available online for free forever. I didn't want his music to be used in the remake, but also didn't have a problem with us making new tracks. It's a bit of a strange circumstance, but I was asked by Off coordinator Mortis Goes to help. I never heard of this game either, so I made some tracks for the game. You can download all my songs here for free. They're also available on YouTube. Enjoy. I might check out this game at some point. Off? I never heard of this before. It looks cool. If that's the art style, it looks very cool. But yeah, we can check it out for sure. Five musical albums. Oh, look at this illustration as well. It's gorgeous. Recently, there's been some musical albums consisting of Undertale and Deltarune covers, which I've been encouraged to recommend to you. There's a Deltarune Piano Collections volume out now. Some virtuosic piano arrangements of Deltarune music by Trevor Allen Gomes. I really recommend giving this one a listen. It's available on YouTube if you want to sample it for free. Monster Cat X Undertale, upcoming on October 6th. An album of electronic Undertale arrangements created by Monster Cat and Faraga Records. Many different artists have worked on it very hard to put the album together, and the creativity shines through. The full album releases Monday, October 6th, with physical edition to follow. Click here if you prefer to listen to it. And we have new merchandise. Oh my god. When I searched 10 on Fangamer Store and shirt for Enna came up. What the hell? Look at this Tenna figure. And the Tenna plush is very cool. I'd actually wouldn't mind the Tenna plush. The t-shirt's actually really cool though as well. Like I feel like that's a t-shirt that you could like you know, I think that's a good merch. To me, good merch is t-shirts that you could wear that are really cool, but also like look very stylish at the same time too. So people would be like, "Oh, nice shirt," you know, not just like, "Oh, cool Undertale shirt," or "Cool Deltarune shirt." It's like, "Oh, cool shirt." It doesn't look like my usual merchandise, but I guess I should tell you guys to buy it. It looks cool. Conclusion: 10 years in passing is annoying. Does it mean I'm annoying? No. Anyway, I'll save my words for the event. So what we're getting here is like, yeah, there's a lot of like cool extra stuff here as well, like the new merch and stuff like too. But in terms of the development of Deltarune Chapter 5, they're in the process right now of making the game. They're starting making the game, but they also said here as well that they have, where is it now here? Yeah, they have regular enemies and mostly done. They have the boss battles decided, and many of the boss battle attacks have been implemented, but they're going to change them depending on the atmosphere of the battle. The early parts of Chapter 5 are complete. They have to polish optional areas. And they're saying that there's a rough pass state in most of the areas in terms of like 40% of the game. But also 85% of the cutscenes have been created up to a draft state, but they can still change it. So I was thinking that maybe they wouldn't change it at that point, but they can still change it. And 20% need more polish. But they're saying that once obviously like the translation goes out, then they're probably not going to be allowed to change it. Which, by the way, makes perfect sense. Because we know how much of a process that was in the previous Deltarune updates. There was always like stuff about translation, but also that means more money. It means more budget. It means outsourcing stuff sometimes as well. It takes a lot of effort to do that stuff. But yeah, like it's really cool that we're getting like this type of update. I love that it's all like put into like a neat package here. It's really cool to have like the percentages and stuff because even though they might like not be like fully accurate. I love that he talks about the hurdles, like how it was hard to design some stuff, but those hurdles I feel like are going more smooth now that they've expanded the team. We heard they got producers and like more developers. That's fantastic. There's a team behind it. But all the obvious hurdles are gone, but they still will be hurdles. Of course there will be. It's development. There's going to be some stuff that's going to be so broken that you won't even know. But I love this timeline here. Because whilst, again, as we said, making the game is already so difficult. Localization, difficult. Making a game, porting game, the finish, the testing and bug fixing is something that also will be a big thing. Because we heard about that before as well, that you will that people have found stuff as they were testing and bug fixing, like, oh, like what's happened here? So there's going to be stuff like that too, also. They have a deadline, but they're not going to have a release date. But they told us like how much development will work, and there's also like external factors. But it's going to be when it's done. I'm glad he's saying that it's going to be when it's done. I dislike heavily heavily. One of my pet peeves is when game developers will release 20 trailers before the final game. It's just, I've never watched them. Like, also, like, when people go like, oh, here's our new game, Star Bonkers, and you watch the trailer and you're like, oh, that was cool, you know, that was really cool, I wonder when that's releasing. And then 4 years later you're like, here it is. I'm doing Jeff Keighley. I have no problem with Jeff Keighley, by the way. He gave one of my favorite streamers like a job for life. But yeah, he's like, here it is, the new trailer for Star Bonkers. It's like, wait, Star Bonkers was announced 4 years ago. Okay, they're going to announce a date today, right? 2027. Wait, no specific date? 2027 rolls around. Eurogamer. Star Bonkers has been delayed to 2028. Which delays happen. I'm not saying development's not hard, and it's not the developers' fault, by the way. It's the producers, and it's not the producers, but the companies behind them will make them do all this stuff. Will make them will make them make all these updates and trailers because they genuinely like think that develops hype. And again, it can, like, they know better. You can say they know better than you, Calvin. Yeah, sure. It does develop hype 100%, but at the same time too, I think they're not realizing that for some people like me and for other people, it can kill hype sometimes too. You know, it can. And it can get to the point that, like, also what happens is then on release, if your game releases after so much hype and your game releases after so much delays and so many like different trailers, if that game isn't amazing and superb, it gets judged a bit harsher. Not because people are like want to judge it harsher, because in our minds we're like, oh, so this game got delayed, it was developed for 7 years and it's this? Whereas, like, you know, an indie developer is developing a game for like 8 years but hasn't said a word about it, is just working on it, and it goes, here it is. You're like, whoa, this blows my mind. I'm not saying that like that people like I or anyone else has their thoughts about games based on like the time of the releasing, but I do think that there is a public perception sometimes of some people that do judge a game based on like, well, this game took 10 years to make and we got this, not just like, oh, this game is what it is. Obviously, like, when I'm playing a game on the channel, it doesn't even matter what development time there was. It's just like we're playing the game because I don't watch trailers beforehand. I just like watch maybe like the reveal trailer of like a release date or something like that, and then I move on after that. But I do think that like it's more to me like it gets to a point where like I see a game getting delayed and I'm just like, there it is. There it is. You announced it too early. So I'm glad that what we have here is we have a release frame, but we don't have a release date. And what we have is, instead of like constant trailers all the time, we have like an update from Toby Fox himself, kind of giving us like very detailed, fun updates about the development and the process. And I think what helps with that is understanding the process of the development, even through like a peripheral view, lets people understand that like this stuff is hard, this stuff is difficult, and there is like work being done on every single level, rather than just being like, here's another trailer, 2026, here's another trailer, 2026, here's another trailer, delayed. You know, it's like it works that way. And even like if it does get delayed, we'll only know about it in a way where it's like, oh, we hit a hurdle, it might be like mid-March instead, you know. But yeah, this is really cool. Glad we got this information once again. Awesome to hear. Cook on the game, cook on the chapter. Don't even like, you know, don't rush anything whatsoever. Let it cook. Let it cook as always. You know what I mean? Look what happened with Team Cherry recently, right? They just literally weren't even crunching. There was no problems. They just literally were having fun making the game. Have fun making the game. Honestly, like, Undertale and Deltarune is like one of my most hyped experiences in terms of video games. So like, I'm just like, please just do whatever you can. I know they will. They're gonna make something amazing once again, and I'm very excited for it. I want to say thank you to Ty4R2, my patrons, by the way. Ty4R2, Jamie Bull, Janet the Banana, the Ghost Inazuma, Flizzes Felix, you, Radish and Lusta, Lynx Markey, The Assassin, True Peanut Butter, Peter Shelson, Leon, High Casparian, Jared Beanham, at the highest tier on my YouTube, Royal Gamer 7 and Blasco. I'll see you so soon. Bye bye.